Welcome back to Living Local. Maybe you've heard some scary stories about home buying, but the process doesn't need to be intimidating if you're equipped with the right information to face today's market. Joining me in studio, we have John Cornish with Key Mortgage Group. John, thanks so much for being on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it very much.
So what is your background with mortgage lending?
So about 16 years. I started with a larger national firm, spent about 4 to 5 years there, and then I went to help build a mortgage platform for a local bank here in the Quad Cities. Spent about 8 years there, had a fantastic experience and time there, and then decided to branch out to a mortgage company where we can focus all of our time, money, and resources just on mortgage lending as opposed to a bank where you have to focus on different types of products. So, and that's where we are today.
That's exciting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, John, there are a lot of common questions that come up when we're talking about mortgage lending.
Absolutely.
So today we're going to go over just a few of those questions. So first
Perfect.
of all, do you need a great credit score?
You don't, and I would say you really don't even need a good credit score today. There's a lot of programs that are available for people that have had some sins of the past, as I call them, or some credit blemishes. So if you think your credit score has to be perfect, it's just not true. There's some great government-backed programs out there to help people that have had some hiccups in the past.
Now, what about your spouse's credit score? Does that make an impact?
Only if he or she's going to be on the transaction. So if you're doing the loan in just your name, that other person's credit score has no impact. But if you're both going to be on the transaction, it's actually the lower of your two credit scores of what we're going to use.
Okay, John, and when you're looking to get that first home, second home, whatever it is, what about the down payment? Do you need a really big down payment? What would your advice be?
You don't need it. Listen, I'm a firm believer in skin in the game or having down payment, but there's a lot of good programs with as little as 3% down with fixed interest rates. There's grant programs that can even offset some of that to help out mainly first-time home buyers. And I think you have to look, and every individual situation is different, but I think that if that's what's holding you back, you should really sit down and talk to a professional to find out what options are available and how much will it cost you to get into a house, and just don't assume that you don't have enough down. So to answer the question, you don't need it. Is it a good thing to have a down payment? Absolutely, because it protects your investment, but it's not a requirement. And if you look at the savings from buying a house versus renting, even with the low down payment, it's much cheaper to own than it is to rent right now.
Yeah, that's good to know for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so if you don't need a great credit score, then how do you get pre-approved for a mortgage?
So you get pre-approved by reaching out to a lender. Reaching out, there's many ways you can do it: online, telephone. I'm kind of old school. I like to do the face-to-face thing. We utilize technology to make it convenient for our clients, but we really like to sit down and educate them with the pre-approval process. So just reaching out to a lender, one that your family members know, workers know, people have had positive experiences with, is usually my recommendation. Most of the things that I do for any business is it's word of mouth. Who's had good experiences, who we use to do this, and then giving those people that opportunity.
And John, as I've considered home buying myself, one of the questions that pops into my head is, what is a good debt to income ratio? How do you go about approaching that?
So again, it's different on the lifestyle of the individual person. I would tell you that there's some I still think that the programs can get a little bit aggressive when the debt to income ratio can actually allow it to be a little bit too high, in my personal opinion. But I think you have to look at your own spending habits, right? Everybody lives differently. How much do you go out to eat? How big is your car payment and things like that? And then also, is it your true debt to income ratio? So we go as high as, I think, 57% debt to income ratio. I would tell you, a smarter standpoint, 45 and below is really what I think is more of a safe spot for people, maybe even lower than that. But again, everybody's budget's different. Or if we're looking at, let's say the loan is just in one of the spouse's names, so the debt to income ratio with just that one person is at 45, but if you factor in the other person, it's much lower, then it looks higher than it actually is on paper. So it's hard to give you an exact number, but I would tell you probably 45% or below, but there are programs that allow you to go over that, if there's other reasons for it.
Got it. Now, as we sift through all these common questions, in your opinion, what do you think is the most common mistake that people make when they're going through this mortgage process?
Probably not telling us everything up front. And we spend a lot of time educating our clients and giving them experiences of what has caused issues in the past, and we're going to find out about everything. And that's what people don't realize, that with the credit crash of the past, we're making sure that we don't do those things again and that we're lending money responsibly. So we check things to make sure that all these stones get uncovered, every I is dotted, every T is crossed. So if there's something out there, just tell us about it up front so we can address it on the front end, as opposed to finding out about it as a surprise 3 or 4 days before closing. So to answer your question, not giving us a valid or accurate pre-approval because you're not sharing all the information, because you may be scared about something that's in your past. Just tell us, be honest with you. We've worked with it in the past. I can almost guarantee you we had every experience come across, and we can help you how to get from point A to point B.
Transparency is key there.
Absolutely. And open communication with really everything. Yes, absolutely.
And John, you mentioned that you're kind of more old school. So I'm curious what your opinion is of online lenders. It seems like today so many services are being offered online, maybe for the convenience, but is that the most practical way to go?
I don't believe so. Listen, it's not to each their own. I think the online lenders, they have some of the best marketing companies and minds in the world. Do I think they really do a great job of doing mortgages or focusing on the consumer's needs? I really don't. I think this is most people's biggest investment that they're going to make, and to think that you can do it through a computer without talking to a human or a person that knows or that has experience in lending the money and what you should do, I just don't think it's the best bet. And the experience that we have with customers that start with that type of situation, and then whether it's a local agent or a friend or a family member that gives them our recommendation, or even another local lender, they seem much more pleased and they have a better understanding of what the process actually is and what they're getting into. And I think it's much more important for consumers to be educated, especially when you're talking about an investment of this size.
Right, and when you're meeting with potential clients face to face, and if they asked you, what about your approach to mortgage lending makes you unique, what would you say?
I think it starts with the level of passion that we have. I mean, that sounds really simple, but I think it's really true, and it's the backbone of everything that we do. I think a lot of our competition is going towards the way of getting people on and off the phone or on and off the internet as quickly as possible to get to as many widgets as they possibly can. So let's spend as little time as possible with people and focus them in on one or two products that are convenient for the lending institution, but not really focusing on what's best for the customer. So I think we take the time to educate the customer, sit down with them face to face, 30 to 45 minutes. I usually meet with people twice during the process face to face to make sure they understand it. And if I'm sitting across from you and I'm explaining closing costs, cash to close, different options, the pros and the cons, I can gauge that you're actually understanding it, and I want people to actually understand it. I don't want them just to say yes to move on to the next step, because I'd rather address all the questions up front. So again, education and empowering people to make an informed decision, I think really is what separates us, and spending that time to educate our client base. And also relationships. This is a lasting relationship we're gaining with our clients. We're not transactional whatsoever. We have a ton of repeat business where we've done multiple purchase transactions, called our clients multiple times, let them know that there's opportunity to save money with refinances. So when we make a connection, our plan is it's going to be a connection forever.
Right, and it's hard to make those relationships online, I think, too.
I don't know how you gain trust or relationship through a computer. I really don't. And again, to each their own. It's just not what I believe in, and it's not what our business model is. So we're going to stick to what we do, what we're passionate about, what we enjoy, and what we believe in.
All right, and before we wrap up here, I know that Key Mortgage Group is serving customers through this education process with mortgage lending, but you're also serving our community. So what ways are you guys doing that?
Yeah, listen, we like to be an active and a good participant in the community. We try to give back as much as we can. We sponsor a lot of events. We're actively involved in 2 major fundraisers. We did one for a group of veterans, a local organization last year. I think we raised somewhere between $25,000 and $27,000. We're doing a golf tournament, helping put on a golf tournament for in my brother's memory in a couple months. Was actually on the show a few weeks ago for that. And just staying engaged and really also trying to have a positive impact on the housing economy by making sure we're lending money the right way, educating people so they know what they're getting into.
All right, John, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I appreciate the time very much.
Yes, all right. You guys, if you want some more information about those first steps and mortgage lending and that home buying process, you can visit qchomeloan.com. We'll have those details posted on ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after this. Stay with us.